Direct mail is a great form of marketing for some and a ridiculous waste of money for others. There's a science to it if you want to do it right. The key is to find types of people who expect or need to be contacted. While there are many to choose from, my two favorite groups to target with direct mail are out-of-state landlords and probate lists. The reason I like these two myself is that there is a larger pool of people to market to, and they generally have a pain point that my service can help them solve. By fishing in a larger pond with the correct bait, I'm more likely to get the bites that I want in order to serve my business model. As you determine who you may want to mail to, check out your workbook where you'll find a few other types of lists that are great to mail to as well. And remember, it's important to understand people's motivation and what their situation might be, so when you craft your content in the letter and the call to action, you're doing it in a way that invites them to reach out and learn more. Here's an example of one of my best generic mailers that I send out. And seriously, this letter has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's quite simple, as you can see. I always like to start with a phrase or a statement that gets them to agree or acknowledge whatever I wrote. In this case, I think we can all agree that life will throw us a curveball every once in a while, right? Then it lists a bunch of potential situations that most likely will relate to one they're in. Next, it goes on to tell them about my service and what my company does and why I'm reaching out. And last, I have a few call to actions inviting them to reach out to me to discuss this letter further. See, the key is you want to be broad enough to get them to relate to whatever is in the letter, but specific enough so that it strikes a chord with them and evokes an emotion that will push them to call you. It's a balancing act, so depending on the list I am mailing to, I will be sure to change this around to ensure I touch on what I believe to be their pain point and highlight how I can help them and why they should call me. PayPerClick can be an extremely useful lead generation source. However, it can also be a very costly one, and it can be often a money pit if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't recommend making this a primary focus of your lead generation model starting out unless you know what you're doing. But here are a few pros and cons that you should consider. A benefit of pay-per-click advertising is it allows you to instantly be in business. I mean, you can compete for leads today if you want, and that's the beauty of the online space. There are always people searching for a cash house buyer to help them out of a stressful situation. Also, pay-per-click allows us to get instant measurable feedback and get real ROI numbers so you can scale accordingly. For example, one of my most recent reviews of our website is that it costs about $278 to get a lead, and we know it takes about 5 leads to get a deal. And being able to know these numbers, that is amazing for being able to scale. Some of the things to be aware of is that you're in a space that has a lot of competition. There are a lot of free resources. It can become very expensive to compete with some of the big players, and it's not always simple. You have to know how to navigate this online landscape, and you're training to be a 6-figure flipper, not a pay-per-click expert. So if you decide to go into this space, consider hiring an expert. SEO is a great way of getting leads. However, keep in mind that it's an advanced strategy and it's a long-term play. Get on the first page of Google. That's a dream that takes a lot of time and a lot of money for good keywords. And now the first page is literally 60% ads anyways. And with the advancement of technology, the old game the system tricks are not as effective anymore. And if you found one that is, Google will change it pretty fast. So always remember, Google is in the business of trying to show you the best results for the search. So they will always be looking for the best pages with the best content. It's that simple and that hard. SEO experts are a dime a dozen, so don't fall prey to a pitch, and be careful who you give your money to should you eventually hire one. In my opinion, you don't need an expert. You just need to follow the best flipping practices. Like I said before, SEO is no longer something that you can do quickly. It's a long road, but it can be well worth it. You have to build great content and post it consistently. So as you do that, remember, it will not yield any results for maybe even up to a year. But if you do it consistently over time, it will reap you a great reward. Find a good solid SEO resource. There are many out there online, and follow best practices. And also keep an eye out for the free tools and plugins offered that can really help you. Once you have a site up, make sure that you run it through a local SEO checklist to quickly have your ducks in a row and give yourself the best chance to optimize your results and your efforts. I love banners and signs for lead generation. They are basically mini billboards that brand your business while fishing for leads. If you recall, my first deal came from a bandit sign, so you can imagine why I like them so much. They are pretty cheap. You can buy a sign stapler at Home Depot or online, and then you just have to go around one morning and tack up all those signs around town in the areas that you're interested in purchasing. But beware, bandit signs are illegal in some areas, so do some research on your market and be sure to obey the sign ordinances. Banners and yard signs are also a great way of generating leads on properties that you've already purchased and are in the process of rehabbing. The second I close on a property, one of our immediate tasks is to bring a massive banner, hang it on the property, and a sign put in the front yard. Make sure you have your logo on the sign, how they can contact you, and a big "We buy houses cash" call to action. Trust me, if there's someone in the neighborhood who is thinking of selling their house for cash, you are going to be the first person that they reach out to. The goal is always to get at least 1 to 2 great quality leads from every yard sign or banner, and hopefully turn one of those into a flip opportunity.